Another season in the books, 1906, one of the craziest years that we've had so far. I tried to import the season into Out of the Park 23, and then about 4 months into the season, all the pitchers had 65 movement. Everyone was getting thrown out on the bases. No one was hitting home runs. I think there was 56, 54 home runs, and in real life there was like 200 at that point of the season in September. So I decided to come back to 1906, and boy, we were in for a ride because the Naps had such a strong year for about 60% of the year, but 40% of the year it was a disaster, and we ended up missing the World Series by one game. So one game, Philadelphia Athletics get in. I do feel that we would have been completely overmatched in the World Series. As you see, Chicago Cubs win 4-1. They cruised 8-2, 6-2, 4-3, 4-1 loss. So they were up 3-0, and then 6-5. Frank Chance, the MVP, very good ball player. And there's your stats for the World Series. Also, as promised from last year, I did skip this one page, so it's the league history page, the playoff history. It shows 1905. Normally, I do start on this page, but I missed that last year. Normally I try to cover that as the previous champion right away, and I don't think I did that for the last year. But here's the New York Giants, a very good season score from 1905. That wasn't the year we did. It was 1906, but I haven't simulated past the day because the team name of the Boston Beaneaters will change from the Beaneaters to the Dubs. So if you advance a few days after the World Series, all of that updates. So I like to do this video first. Here's your batting leaders. These are both the AL and the NL. Your statistics there. And then here's the standings. The leaders on the side. So as you can see, the Athletics did not have to play the full 154 games. We only played 153. We tied. We just lost the winning percentage. So one more win or one more loss or one less loss, and we do it. We make the World Series, but it just very, very close call. But it's okay. The Naps already have one World Series title. They won in 1904 too, but I'm not going to count the non-World Series years a title, so we only have one, but they only have two in real life, and it's in 2022. So we're halfway there. And then the Cubs pick up their first one. Now, the White Sox did win in real life here in this World Series. They were unable to make it to the World Series. Here's your expanded standings. And pretty poor year for the Naps. We had a lot of chances, and there was just a couple months where it just seemed like all of the luck was going the other way. And occasionally we'd have a 5-run inning, but it was very few and far between, like maybe once every 8 days. And those games were the ones we won, and the rest of them were just a struggle. So we'll get to the statistics a little bit, just to briefly go over these. Combine the leagues, of course. There's your batting leaders. Here's your pitching leaders for the year. Jack Feister looks like one of the best pitchers. I see some Otto Hess and Addie Joss in there. We'll go to the team statistics. Take a look at the total batting. The stolen bases weren't too bad. I mean, we were plus 62 in stolen bases, which is pretty good. And the stolen bases kind of fixed itself 55%. The home runs, they had 317 home runs this year instead of the 256 in real life. So we went from having way less in Out of the Park 23 to way more. Well, I guess it's only 50 more, and the other one was minus 200, like was down 500%. This one's up 20%, but that's still a big jump. So Philadelphia with the pitching leaders, I believe Philadelphia had the best ERA besides the Cubs. They sure did. We'll take a look at the fielding statistics. Philadelphia and Chicago were pretty good at throwing runners out, it looks like. In the AL. Wow, a couple of teams in the 50s over there in the NL. It's harder to run in the NL. Simulation accuracy from 1905 is updated. I'll show this every year. Then we get some league reports, I believe. Go through a couple of these. I'm not going to do the transactions anymore. We'll do team by team just to take a brief look where we struggled. Just Philadelphia and New York Highlanders as well. Top performances of the year, of course. And none from the Naps. Story of the year. Top systems, which doesn't really matter, but there are some guys. I mean, it's kind of really skewed the way that works right now because there's no really minor leagues. So look at the batting report from this angle really quick. Pitching report. 10 saves for my team. I just didn't trust my guys to finish. I kept blowing it in the last inning, so I like to take them out, but more than normal. And normally I didn't do that. But I was desperate to win a lot more games this year because it was so close and just couldn't make it. Our fielding was pretty bad too. Team power rankings to finish 4th place right over Philly because of the late charge. Very unfortunate that we couldn't make it in. We played really well in September. So that should cover all of the history stuff. We'll put this in here. So you have 1903 champs, none in 1904, 1905. Now we'll start having champions every year. So 3 unique champions, Naps, Giants, Cubs so far, who will win next year. I removed all the players from the Hall of Fame because I figured out how to do that. So this is just going to be in there, unfortunately. But I have the Hall of Fame deactivated now. So we will worry about that later. And then I'll probably manually put some guys in if they like the guys that were already in that I need to put back in. They might not be elected again. I don't know how it's going to work. So if that's the case, I'll put some of them back in. We got season and career records. I don't think anything really changed here. I mean, Rube Waddell last year got a record, and then a couple of records last year. Strikeouts, wins of strikeouts probably isn't good to have a record for batting strikeouts, but all right, so let's see what else do we have here. Single game records. Fritz Buelow, 3 doubles. Of course, Fritz Buelow hit 3 doubles. There you go. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff in this. Those are just the AL records too. I didn't look at those last time. Now let's go to the individual teams here. I'll cover my team first, then the Naps. It was an okay year for the most part, and it was really hard to play at times because it was just so inconsistent, and it just seemed so favored to the other team when it came to like randomness and a lot of the RNG that I was getting. But it ended up like completely changing at the end and back in my favor. So like I was worried that it was going to be like that for a while. We did decent in May, and then June started losing. There's some more red here, and then I think like July, it was just like it's just got really hard to win here. And then August was not that much better, and then all of a sudden in September, it was just everything was a win, and like it became the exact opposite of what was happening. So like it would have been better if it was just a mixture instead of like horrible and then really good, because I mean really good is fun to play, but it's still just as unrealistic as really horrible. But I mean it is baseball, so baseball is really random. Like what I've seen with the real life New York Yankees in August of 2022, it's been pretty unbelievable after what I saw the rest of the year, and it kind of reminds me of what happened to my team. Just unable to score when they have a really formidable lineup. So, I mean, I was just glad that I saw it even back out. I mean, we ended up hitting first in the league. Pitching came around. Everything came around towards the end, but it was a fun year. In real life, the Naps went 89-64, so we almost got there. So we're still, I think we're 38 games above their real record from 1901 to 1906. I think we have a 38 game lead right now. And remember, that's the number 2 primary goal. So primary goal 1 is to win 3 World Series. Primary goal 2 is to have a better win-loss record career since 1901. So we're doing a good job there. Let's move on to the rest of the league now. I guess I can go over some of my team reports really quick. Really quick. Just to have them on here. Addie Joss pitched really well this year. Bob Rhodes ended up having a really good September because his ERA was in the 4s and it shot down. Really good outings. He almost got this hits and innings pitch even, and this was like a 50 hits to innings pitch difference. And in real life, he pitched like 316 and only gave up 270 hits. So I was glad to see that kind of even out. But that was probably why I didn't make the World Series. Just simply Bob Rhodes underperformed for so long in July and August. But a lot of this stuff comes down to one thing, but like one thing going one way, it doesn't, like, there could be something that didn't go your way and it does. So there's that's just a lot that goes into it. But that seemed to have a huge impact, Bob Rhodes. It looks like we don't need to look at any of that. Everything's good. We don't have any retired numbers. There's your history. Since 1901, I've been managing the team. But pretty good start so far. Now let's head into the rest of the league. We're at about 12 minutes in the recording. I like to have this wrapped up in 20. So I'm going to go team by team pretty quickly based on real life record. We're going to do it that way this time. So the Chicago White Sox went 93-58 in real life. They underperformed 75-76 here. Here's your team. Here's all your ranks. This is irrelevant, the minor league system. But I won't go through anything else other than this. There's a lot of info. If anyone ever has any questions, if you have a favorite player from this era or anything, just feel free to leave a comment. Come to my stream on Twitch. Either way, if you have to ask about a player, I'll look them up pretty quickly as long as I'm not in-game. So just let me know, and I'd be happy to do that so you can see how they did in the simulation. We have the game Team 2, New York Highlanders, 90-61. So they finished 9 games below here. Hal Chase was really difficult to get out. The Highlanders, I mean, they had a pretty good offense. It's like the Chesbro's their only really formidable pitcher. The rest of them were hittable. Chesbro was tough, though. Very tough pitcher. Then you got the Cleveland Naps coming in third place, 89-64. We already looked at my team. And then Philadelphia, 78-67. Oops, that's the wrong Philadelphia. So they finished 5 games above. And, Philadelphia seems like they've gotten worse on offense over the years here. Their pitching's really solid. Keeps them in a lot of games. And Rubidell strikes out so many batters. But Philadelphia, it seems like is a lot tougher to hold them down on offense. And it kind of showed in the World Series as Chicago just overmatched Philadelphia. Got the Browns finishing in 5th place, 76-73. So 2 games below here. They almost finished above 500, just couldn't do it in September. They probably had a really bad September, and that was probably due to me because I think I played them. Well, I definitely played them in October, but for 1 game. But I think I played them in September as well. The Browns, they had a pretty good season here. Just kind of mediocre all around. If I was managing their team, I definitely wouldn't have had a chance to win. I think the Naps, the Naps just have such a powerful core right now. So, as long as I can ride the core players, I'm able to overperform. And I think it's going to kind of reverse in the future where the Cleveland franchise just won't have that core players. So we'll be replacement player level. Wins above replacement won't be high. It'll be more like this, where maybe we'll have a guy at 4, a 3, and a couple 2s and a bunch of 1s, and that's just not enough to beat teams with players that have an 8 and a 7 and a 5. So Detroit Tigers 71-78. So they're 2 games below here. Ty Cobb is our 18-year-old. He's probably 19 years old right now. We can check on that. I think he's probably 19. Yeah, he turned. Because he was 18 the previous year when he played a little bit at the end. So that makes sense. So that'll be interesting to watch Ty Cobb's career unfold. Detroit, middle of the road. I think they might get better. I don't know, though. I don't know my history. That's kind of why I'm doing this. I'm going through every year just to kind of learn how these teams really did. You get the Washington Senators now finishing in 7th place at 55 and 95. So they have 14 more wins in our simulation. It's probably due to pitching that did better than normal. And then they had a few hitters, and they weren't the easiest team. They could string some hits together, and then they had some power that could hit them all in. Like Hickman had 9 home runs, and John Anderson is no slouch when it comes to hitting. So very good performance by Washington overall in the simulation to grab 14 more wins. And then Boston Americans, I believe, also did really well. Yeah, so Boston only had 49 wins, and they got 14 more. So good for Boston. No hitters over 300. And Cy Young, not the best pitcher, so maybe we'll just name it the Jesse Tannehill Award. Now, Cy Young has a ton of wins in real life. Maybe he has the most losses, but he still has 500 wins. So he also has a very bad supporting cast, is what I'm learning. So maybe a lot of those losses, if he was on a different team than Boston, wouldn't have happened. I mean, his WAR is pretty good here, 6.4. So there's the wrap up for the AL. We're going to move on to the NL right now. And then that will pretty much wrap up the wrap up for 1906. Wrap up the wrap up. You got Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs are 116 and 36. They were not World Series champions as the Chicago White Sox took them out in 7 games, 4-3. But they did not let Philadelphia win the World Series here. So Chicago wins the series 4-1. Very solid performance from the pitching. They were just so hard to hit, and then they also had their own offense. And that's what happens. When you have a really good pitching and really good offense, you win a lot of games. So there's the Cubs, 110 wins, World Series champions, first runs scored, first. Like, look at these stats. It's just first, everything. So very good season from the Cubs overall. You got the New York Giants in 2nd place, who overperformed in our simulation because they were 96 and 56 in real life, so 6 extra wins. They were the World Series champions the year before. They still had some really good pitching. As you can see, if you notice, Christy Mathewson tied for the lead on the team for 24 wins, but he's not even in the top 3 earned run average. So if it looks like their batting brought them down a little bit, Chicago was probably just a little bit better offensively, which has generated more wins overall. But yeah, the Giants, very, very formidable team. If they would have went to the World Series, it would have been hard for Philadelphia to beat them. You got the Pittsburgh Pirates in 3rd place. Now, the Pittsburgh Pirates won 93 games in real life, won 93 and 60. If you have, I mean, that's pretty close. To come to 90 wins, but to be 20 and a half games out, that's... Pittsburgh has one of the worst luck to start like this whole baseball. Like just the whole idea that Pittsburgh has struggled for so long over the last like 50 years now to just win a playoff series. And now that I'm going back and seeing how they were so good in 1901 and 1902, but there was no World Series, so they couldn't win. And then every year after, it's just these other teams are just slightly better, and Pittsburgh keeps getting slightly worse. Like, yeah, I hate to say it, but their 90 and 63 is slightly worse than what they were doing in 1901. And it's only going to get worse, I would assume, like, until these other teams fizzle out and then they can catch a break and get back up. I don't know when that's going to happen, though. And, I mean, we're going to find out. But Pittsburgh's just very unlucky in the sense that they were really good in years that they couldn't win a World Series because there was no World Series. So they should have 2 more World Series wins than they do. But nonetheless, 90 and 63, no playoffs for you. You got the Philadelphia Phillies in 4th place, just like real life, 71 and 82. So Phillies are getting better. I will say that I don't know what. I think it's the info page. I thought it was the info page. There's a page that shows you there's Here's the history. This works. This works just fine. So the first year they were okay, and then they kind of slept, but now they're getting better, I thought. Never mind. So they're just mediocre. Run of the middle of the road, run of the mill team here. 37 and a half games behind. A couple good players, though, on this team for sure. Pitching's decent, too. Just not anything special. Nothing that's going to get them the wins that they need against these top teams. We got Brooklyn coming in 5th place, but here they're 7th place. So Brooklyn was 66 and 86 in real life, so there's 11 less wins in our simulation. The offense, a little bit under league average here, and then the pitching just looks pretty bottom. And when you got, I mean, Jim Pastorius, the best pitcher, and then you got them 3 ERAs compared to the Cubs, who had like almost no one in the 2s. So it's just a tough year for Brooklyn here. 55 games away from first place. But they do have the Rockville Astronauts in the minor leagues. So that's something to look forward to in the future as we learn to travel to space. Cincinnati Reds in 6th place, 64 and 87. So they overperform, 4 extra wins. Decent pitching, very decent pitching. Hitting subpar, but I mean better than Brooklyn. Makes sense since they finished 5th. Decent team. Again, one of those teams that I'm pretty sure that I couldn't do any better than 88, 68 and 83. Not enough star power. No more whammy, right, Yanni Clash? Not enough star power, though. There's just, I mean, one guy hits over 300. They have pitching that keeps them in it, but probably play a lot of close games. So probably a lot of luck involved in those close games. One play can turn the fortune of the whole thing. You got the St. Louis Cardinals at the bottom here, but they did have 52 wins in real life, 52 and 98. So they finished exactly where they were. What's funny is they have no leaders. So I'm not quite sure what's happening here, but it looks like only one person qualified. So maybe these are just guys that haven't really played that much. I'm not quite sure what's happening here with the team batting leaders. Interesting. But there is St. Louis. And then the last team is Boston Beaneaters, who are going to change their name. So no longer will be known as the Boston Beaneaters. I was going through the April schedule of next year just to see what we have in store. And the Boston Beaneaters will be known as the Boston Dubs. So I will no longer be saying Beaneaters on stream, which is kind of sad because who doesn't like to say Beaneaters? Oh, man. So that's the end of our show here, it looks like. A pretty decently long one. It's going to be 25 minutes. Boston's pretty bad. Hopefully they can do a little bit better next year. But they did finish 8 games over their real life total. So congrats to Boston. That's awesome. Finish 8 games over. I wish I did, because that would have got me to the World Series. But yeah, I don't think we have much more to look at here. What do I want to end it on? Maybe we can try doing something new this time. Maybe I'll end it this way, okay? So maybe we'll go to, where's the thing? Is it playoff history? Yes. Okay, so we're going to finish today. This is going to update everything. So we'll put this on the YouTube video, because normally I just do this off stream. So right now it's assigning logos and pictures and checking like all of the stuff for next year and making sure that it's all ready to go. So what's probably happening is Boston Beaneaters are turning to the Boston Dubs. So we have a 416 average score, but we had a really good year. So that seems low, but just no World Series will do that to you. Oh. So they did change their name. So there's our goals. I gave you the task of building me a winner in 1904, even though we won. So we have one more year to win the championship, or else I don't accomplish my goals. Did Jim Jackson actually retire? Wait a minute. So this is actually right this time? No way. These are actually correct. I was nervous for a second. I was like, oh no, do I have to unretire people? Those are all the real retirements. How cool. So there's the prospects for the next year. Off season begins. New owner for the Chicago White Sox. That's smart. Pittsburgh Pirates, new owner. Jimmy Collins. He'll be a manager of a different team, but still be playing for Boston. So there, a lot of GMs are gone. A lot of front office moves here. Cincinnati gets rid of their manager. And then Phillies, I'm assuming, because it's not going to be the Athletics. And then this doesn't matter because there's no awards available. But I do want to go to that one page. I wanted to end on this page. We'll look at those emails, look for retirements to end this. And then here we go. Perfect. So playoff history, 4-1 Cubs win. There's the champions. I'm going to take this as a screenshot too. That'll give you the thumbnail. And then the last thing I want to look at, I had it on the tip of my head and then I took that screenshot and I forgot. Oh yeah, historical simulation accuracy. So that is, I forget where it is though. Statistics. Yeah. So now that's in. So home runs, are they way up? 17%. So that'll probably fix itself. 17% up home runs. A lot of home runs. Doubles are up 12%. Average up 3%. Stolen bases were kind of right there. And these are pretty close. That's the worst one, though, the home runs. But then it kind of corrected itself. There's been more home runs hit so far. That's more fun, right? More home runs. All right, so that'll do it. If you want to watch the 1907 season, it'll most likely be done from today, August 31st, through September 20th or so. And I hope to see you there. If not, see you next time for the 1907 wrap-up, and enjoy your day. Go Naps!